Hello and welcome to the next session of SAP Transactional App Development using Managed Scenario of SAP RAP. So in this video, we will continue with our development of the UI annotations that we have to give and also continue with the uh, behavior definition and behavior implementation. For the required annotations, I have explained the annotations in detail in my earlier tutorial on SAP read-only application development series. Please visit and watch those videos to get a hold on annotations as well. With that, let's get into the system and start the development. So let where we had left earlier was that we had created a metadata extension for the contact uh, projection view wherein we had just given few of the annotations. Now line item will actually give the will display the data of this particular field on the list report. Similarly, identification UI annotation will be uh, used to display the detail on the object page. So now let us just try to actually uh, make the necessary changes. I don't want to display my contact ID in the uh, object in the list report, but I want to actually define it in my identification. Okay. uh, and the label I will be giving that as contact ID. Now, first name I want to display in the list report as well as I have to display it on my object page. So I will take identification and position as 20. Similarly, middle name also I have to display there. Last name also I have to display. Then we have gender also I have to display there. 50, date of birth as 60, age as 70, telephone as, no, I missed something somewhere. So first name 20, 30, last name 40, gender on 50, identification, this will be not needed. So this is 60, this line item is 70, and telephone I want to display it in the first page as well as the object page, and email I have to display only on the object page. Active I have to display on the main page as well as my object page. So this will define the UI annotation. Now as we know that in order to define, we can define few more annotations, and the first one is the at the header at the rate UI dot header info, and I'm just saying shift enter, that will give me everything there. Now type name will give the details. In this case it is a contact that we are defining. If there are multiple results, then I'll say plural form is contacts. Then title, the type is standard. Label, which field I want to display, I will be displaying label as contact. Okay. And I don't need criticality. Value, I will select my first name as my value there, and again for the description it will be last name, label will be first name, and here the label will be last name for the description part, and the value I will be taking the field name as last name field. Okay, so this is how we will be defining our header. What it will do is it will display the header as contact or contacts. It will also define for what uh, contact we are actually editing the or displaying the record in the object page. So the first name and the last name will be displayed there. And to display the uh, details in the object page, we have to add annotation for facet, which is UI.facet. Okay, and there are many things there. We will be needing an ID. So we don't need a qualifier and feature, we just need an ID. So I'm saying ID contact. Purpose is standard. Position is on first position, that is 10. And I say what is the label. The label will be contact details. Type, I can select it as either line item reference or hash identification reference. Now the difference between line item is a reference and identification reference is identification reference will be used when we will have to display only a single instance of an entity, and line item will display all the entities in a tabular form. For more details, you can refer to my earlier video on read-only application development. So with this, we have actually completed the annotation for our uh, contact. Now the next step in the list is to create a behavior definition. Now behavior definition should be created on the interface entity, and then it will be again created on the consumption or the projection entity, and we will project only required behaviors from the interface entity. Now to create a behavior definition, what we need to do is we need to right click on the data definition and you say new behavior definition. This is what we have to select. Select the new behavior definition. Now the name will be exactly the same as the entity name. It will not allow us to change. Okay, it allows us to only change the description. We will say behavior definition for interface view for contact in the manage scenario. And the implementation type, you see there are two implementation type for behavior definition. One is managed and one is unmanaged. Now the difference between these two is in the managed scenario, the create, update and delete, the CUD operations and many other operations like auto numbering and stuff like that will be managed by the framework itself. We don't need to write any code to create or update or delete any record. Okay. In unmanaged, we have to write everything. I'm planning to actually have a next series or a series maybe later. I'm not sure when to create on the unmanaged scenario as well. Let me know if you need the unmanaged scenarios video as well. So let us select the type as manage. Click on next and select the TR and then finish. Now what it will do is it will generate a behavior definition, and this is nothing but it uses a behavior definition language called BDL. Okay. Now what does this mean? it is a pretty simple English-like language which behavior definition uses. Manage or unmanage will define whether the behavior definition is using the managed scenario or the unmanaged scenario. Implementation in class, which class you want to implement. Strict to will actually check uh, the syntax for the correctness of it. Again, define the syntax there is define behavior for our interface entity. You can give an alias. I always prefer to give it as an alias as contact. Okay. The persistent table is our this table. Now what it says is then we have lock master authorization master as instance, e tag field name as well. We will look into e tag when going ahead. It will have create, update and delete, and it will have the key field defined as a read only field because we don't because system will generate the key fields. Now along with the key fields as read only, you can also say that okay, numbering is managed for contact ID. Okay. Now what will happen is uh, in this case the RAP framework by itself will create the numbering, and that is why we had actually used sys UUID 16 as the type for that contact ID field. Now if you see here, it is now still showing that the contact underscore ID first name and everything is not mapped properly. So what we have to do is because the field names of the database table and the field names of our entity, they both of our interface entity, they both are different. Hence, we need to define a mapping. And how we define the mapping? We say mapping for and our field, our table name contact m in curly braces. We define the mapping. And how we define? We say okay, contact ID of our interface is equivalent to contact underscore ID of our database table with a semicolon. Then we say first name is equal to the first underscore name, middle name. Let me quickly do it and show you quickly. Let, okay, so now I have given the mapping for each and every field of our interface mapped to the database field name. Now for if you see here manage implemented in class, this class which is given by generated by the system, this is still not generated. You see it says class does not exist, and this is a warning which already has. I don't want to actually define it there, rather I am saying that my class should be defined here. So I will say that okay, for the contact entity the implementation is done in class ZMAKS CLPP contact M. Okay, so this is what I will be creating. Now it says that there is an error, and the error says that the class does not exist. To implement the class, okay, and unique should be used. Oh, sorry, I forgot the unique. Okay, so now there is a warning. How you can do it is you just click here, or either you click here on this thing and it will actually give you the pop-up and it will say create behavior implementation, double click, or the shortcut is you select there, press control and 1 in on your keyboard and it will give you the same pop-up. and then you either double click or press enter. Okay, the open behavior is not active and unlocked. Oh, so we have to first activate this before we actually go and create. Let us see what it says. Okay, activation finished. So now let us go and say control 1 and double click or create enter. Now it will open up the the pop-up where we have to it has taken the uh, name what we have given, and behavior definition also it has taken. Now we'll say, okay, this is nothing but a behavior implementation for our GMA case. So keep it like that. Select next, select the TR and say finish. Now what this will do is this will actually create a local handler class or a behavior pool class which is inheriting from an ABAP behavior handler class. Okay, the uh, one method that you will always get is a authorization method, and this will be used to uh, to check the authorizations. Any authorizations you want to check, you can check it in this method. Okay, let me activate this, and that is also activated. You can see it in the source code at here in the source code classes, or you can also see when you extend the behavior definition, you will you should be able to see the the behavior definition. You should be able to see the behavior implementation done in this class. Okay, so now uh, we have already created a behavior definition, and we have also created a behavior implementation. Okay, now what we have to do now is that, okay, apart from the create, update and delete, what I am saying is, okay, my field name contact ID is read only, and the numbering should be managed by the framework. Okay, now since I have now created, it is saying that, okay, this does not exist, I have to reactivate this, and now this will also be activated. Now we have to also create a uh, behavior definition for our projection view. So right click and say create behavior definition, and now this type, the implementation type, will be selected as projection by here. There is a projection and there is interface. We will look into will not be looking into interface in this series. So projection, it means the projection view behavior definition is we are trying to create, and the root entity is nothing but the contact, the consumption or the projection view, which is gmaks c underscore contact m. The name will be exactly the same. It will be taken, and we say next, then select the TR and finish. What it will do is it will actually take the projection with the strict S2. That means some syntax checks will be done, and then it will take the create, update and delete functionality. Okay, activate, and our activation is finished. Okay, so this is also activated. Now the final thing here, also let me give it as alias as contact. Okay, now once we have defined the behavior definition, now here uh, after that we will be creating the service definition and service binding, the business service section. So to create the business service, let's go and create a, a new where is it, on the consumption view. Let us go and create a new service definition, and we say, okay, gmaks underscore this is the service definition sd for contact. It is nothing but a service definition for contact and managed scenario. Source type is definition, not extension. We always definition, and the reference object is our C, the projection view entity. Now select the TR, select next, and we say define service. In defined service, as we have seen earlier as well, it will allow to expose all the entities that we want to expose. Nothing fancy here. I'll say okay, expose, and I will give an alias uh, to this as contact, and I will try to activate this. Done. Activated. Once this is activated, now we will be having a business service created, a business service definition created. Now on the service definition, we will create a service binding. Now service binding, we will give the name MAKS service binding for contact M. Okay, and I will say V2 service. So UI version 2 OData service for contact managed scenario. Okay, this is the description that I have given. Now important is the binding type. This binding type will allow us to define or assign the scope or the protocol, what protocol this particular OData will follow. It has UI and it has web API for version 2 and version 4. It also has some INA, UI and SQL web API, which we'll be not looking into. Majorly, I will be looking into version 2 UI or version 4 UI if needed. In case of draft functionality, we have to use the version 4. So let us go with version 2 here. Okay, and select next. It will select the TR and we have to finish. What it will show us here is that okay, it has created a service binding. Now to enable this service, it says that activate the service binding first. Let us activate. Once we activate the service binding, what it will do is it will say that okay, the service is activated but it is unpublished. You see here it is unpublished. In order for the uh, outer world to access this service, you have to publish it. Now publish, you can do it using this URL, publish local service endpoint, or you can click on this publish button. Both ways it will work. Now publish operation is in progress. Okay, we have to wait. What it will do now is it will read all the related entities, the related database table, the behavior definition, everything it will take, and it will actually create entity and association set for us, where all in our case we have only one entity, which is contact. Okay, it also will show us the service URL. Now what does this service URL do? This is the service URL that we will give as a OData metadata for the front end guys, the SAP UI5 Fiori guys, to connect to and read the data from. So let us go and see what this uh, service URL is actually giving us. You see, it gives the service URL wherein it has all the related entities, and our entity is contact. The contact type will be the collection entity that will be taken. Now, in order to see the metadata, you have to actually, after the service, you have to say dollar $metadata to get the metadata of this particular entity. Okay. Now, if you want to actually read any entity, in our case, the entity name is contact. You have to give contact in front of it, and it will give you the details of the contact table. Currently, there is no data, so nothing is actually being shown here. Okay, so this is how the front end guys will actually look into. Now the important thing is on if you see on the uh, version 2 and we say dollar metadata, okay, oh sorry, slash slash dollar metadata will give us the metadata. Important thing that you need to give. Okay, let me just see if I can we can get it. So what you have to understand here is that you see it has entities defined. Our entity is the contact entity type. This is the set of the entity type name, okay, which has a key field as contact ID. It has got the property to update, delete, okay, everything, update and delete, first name, middle name, last name, all the fields here that we have defined. It also has some other entities like SAP related for currency, unit of measure, document for PDF and stuff like that. Okay, SAP format, SAP PDF and stuff like that. Okay, all these things, all these entities are actually used internally by SAP framework to display the application using the Fiori element. Okay, now let us go and see how our application works. To do that, we have to just say preview here, select the entity type and say preview. And as you see, it has actually now shown us the first name, middle name, last name, gender, age, telephone, and this value is active. We have to actually give uh, the heading here. Okay, the same type of application that we have seen in our uh, read-only application with a create, update, and delete functionality. Update or edit will be enabled in the object page, not on the list page report here. So create will actually allow us to create, okay, and when once you go and create, it will actually you see read only is the contact ID. We have made it read only. Let me just go and say okay, my first name, the you see the labels are not coming, so we have to actually fix our UI annotations accordingly. Munir AK Solkar, the gender, there is nothing there on gender, even though I have actually given, we have created a value help on the domain value, but nothing is coming here. We have to actually assign the value help here also. Let me give the July 15th, let's say 1999. Okay, this will be age. Okay, and I don't know what are these values. So I will just say create, and by default, the object is created and a contact ID is generated. You see here for this header is actually coming as Munir and Solkar, the first name and the last name. Let me go back and now click on go button here. We will should be able to see the data that has been created. Okay, I'll stop here, and in my next session, I will work on the search capabilities by providing the search, define some search filters, and take this further with some actions or something like that. Hmm? So until then, thank you and happy learning.